Hey everybody, I'm on here to show you for my son's final history assignment. He's a senior, and I know when they get to this age, it's often quite difficult to find assignments for them. Well, as you know, recently the JFK Files have been released. 80,000 pages worth. So, no, I have not read all 80,000 pages, but I do know that there's been ideas and opinions popping up. I'm sure you all have seen them on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. So I'm going to start with the facts, okay? I'm asking my son, first of all, where JFK stood on war in general. Okay, in general, he was not for war, okay? And it may lead to a different conclusion of who actually killed JFK. I'm going to read this here that I have on my computer. So before Kennedy was president, Eisenhower was president. Right before he left office, Eisenhower warned the American people that there was a shadow government building. He called it the military-industrial complex. There's a YouTube video out there that has that information in it, the whole speech, and it's about how much our military spent, and that this idea about America always being at war was new. Now, it's not new to us, for most of us that were not alive back then, but it was new to them at the time. And how the military today is not like the military of my predecessors in peacetime. Okay, so I attach the video and I ask, what is your take on this video? Make sure the kid watches the entire thing. Then JFK spoke at American University. This was June 10th, 1963, just a few months before he was assassinated. And he urged us to examine our attitudes towards peace and war, and talked about how the pursuers of peace were often not listened to. There's also a video of that as well, which I attached him to the assignment. It's 27 minutes. I asked him to watch it in full. And then, what does this tell you about who JFK was and what he stood for? So there's questions about Eisenhower and his view on war and his warning that he gave to the Americans. And then what was your take on the JFK and what he stood for? Okay. So one of the things that JFK was opposed to was the American Zionist Council, which had been established in 1949. Okay, now, JFK told the American Zionist Council that they had to register as a foreign agent under FARA. For those of you who don't know, FARA is the Foreign Agent Registration Act. So this act is basically telling you that if you are a foreign agent and you want to be in the U.S., you have to submit to us your expenditures and who is funding you. Okay, so basically how the money's coming in and what are you spending it on. That's it, okay? So I ask some questions here. What does this act include? What are the requirements and why would someone be asked to register on it? What details are they required to submit in order to register? And the most important one, why does it matter? Okay. There's an Israel Lobby Archive website. It's an Israeli website. So no one can say that I'm anti-Semitic or whatever. This is an Israeli website. It's called the Israel Lobby Archive. I attached that as well. It gives you a timeline of what happened in 1962. This is running parallel to JFK's presidency. Okay, so October 31st, 1962, that's a key date. Almost a year exactly to the day, November 21st, 1962. Basically what happened was FARA asked them to register. They went back and forth. And then on December 6th, 1962, the rabbi who was in charge of the AZC requested for a 120-day postponement. Within that 120 days, the AZC was disbanded, and that's where we get AIPAC. Okay, AIPAC is what we have today. It officially started. So then the questions are, what is AIPAC? What did the AZC reply to the DOJ? What do you think about this? And what was the DOJ's response to them? Summarize the interaction. What was significant about also January 25th, 1963. After reading the articles from this website from each of the first 6 months of 1963, summarize your findings. That's my son's job right there. What role did journalists play in this? What part does Hoover play? Hoover was in the FBI at the time. And who was Hoover at the time? Okay, and that was, then Farah is losing patience. After almost a year, trying to get AZC and AIPAC to register, because when they came back, they told the DOJ, well, we're no longer AZC anymore, so we're good, right? And DOJ is like, no, now you need to register as AIPAC. So then they're losing patience, and on October 11th, 1963, they said, you need to register. Like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts anymore. Like, you're going to be shut down if you don't start complying with what we want. The question is, why would AIPAC be so opposed to having to register? Why would they go through using lawyers and talking with judges and trying to persuade the public about why they shouldn't have to register? They also used propaganda, talking about saying, well, this might damage the American Jewish viewpoints, or, the Jews' feelings come before the Americans needing to know this information. And so that was propaganda at the time. And I put explain why or why not. When you compare the policies also of JFK, who was pushing for AZC not to be funded, and also you see the events of what was running parallel to the JFK thing. Also, JFK was on the phone with Prime Minister Ben-Gurion arguing about Israel getting nuclear weapons. You may be familiar of the Demono reactor. That was that whole conflict. Weigh this against the fact that their problem went away as soon as Lyndon B. Johnson came in. Lyndon B. Johnson was the vice president, and he was completely opposite JFK. What part did LBJ play in helping Israel and or AIPAC? So they made him a 501c3 now, so they don't have to register. What was his view on war? Why is this important? And then after reading all the new information, who do you think organized the hit on JFK? Okay, so now I'm asking my son's opinion after reading all this stuff and reading all these articles and looking at all these videos. And then what type of people or person, American or foreign, what agencies, and the most important question, why? What was the motive of killing JFK? Oswald was the one that everyone thought did it for many years. He was the go-to man. Did you know that Oswald was also shot not long after he killed JFK? Jack Ruby killed him. So what are the key notes on how he was killed? Why do you think Oswald was taken out? Was it related to JFK assassination? And who is Jack Ruby? Age, religion, political views. Comment below.